While the new Polish government of Donald Tusk has only been in power for a few weeks, it seems that the country already finds itself on the brink of a constitutional crisis. Some even claim that Poland's media freedom has been destroyed entirely. In a shocking move, the government has decided to sack the entire management of the state-controlled TVP television network, the Polish radio, and the Polish press agency. For several days, state-controlled TV channels, including TVP Info, a popular news source for many Poles, or the English-speaking TVP World, were even taken off the air. This naturally caused an outcry from the conservative opposition led by the PIS and its supporters, who claim that the new government is on a crusade to destroy media pluralism in Poland. They want the Polish media to act as a conservative bulwark against what they see as the new liberal order. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets of Warsaw in January, protesting against the actions of the government. Tusk, on the other hand, maintains that the radical steps were necessary to restore the impartiality of the media, which, he says, was severely compromised under the PIS rule. On the campaign trail, Tusk had promised that he would once again turn state media into a platform for reliable information, and he feels to be only delivering on that promise now. So what is happening? Is Poland really headed for censorship once again, or is the new government doing the exact opposite, i.e. trying to prevent censorship by ensuring that people have access to objective information from a variety of sources? Let's find out. I'm Jan with Prague, and this is the story of how the battle for Polish media freedom began, and whether or not the new government of Donald Tusk is destroying media independence. To understand the causes of today's turmoil in Poland, a bit of background. State-controlled media remain a very important source of information for the average Pole. In fact, about 1/3 of the population still rely exclusively on state media, especially television, for their news. This proportion grows dramatically with age. To give you an idea, in 2021, Poles aged 60 years and over spent more than 7 hours watching television every single day. Compare that to the 16 to 19 age group, which only spends about 4 hours watching TV daily. And of course, we're including on-demand video services like Netflix or YouTube in that figure. What's important is that the older age groups, which also tend to consume state-controlled media more than the younger population, overwhelmingly support the conservative PIS. Naturally, the overlap will never be absolute, and an older voter does not automatically equal a PIS voter. Still, over 50% of all voters older than 60 voted for the PIS, as opposed to only about 15% in the youngest age group, which is 18 to 29. That helps explain why it was mostly PIS supporters who took to the streets to protest the sweeping changes introduced by Tusk. Any change to the media landscape is likely to impact PIS voters the most because they consume TV broadcast the most. And conversely, the PIS, or any outgoing government for that matter, does have an interest to maintain control over the media, because it is a clear link to a significant voter base. After all, even the leader of the PIS, Jarosław Kaczyński himself, attended the protests, together with former PM Morawiecki.
The former Prime Minister from the Law and Justice Party joined the protest and said this.
Such an intrusion, a forcible intrusion into the public television authorities, is an absolute act of lawlessness. Do you want to have all information provided according to one template, according to the template prepared in the office of Prime Minister Tusk? I think that Poles deserve reliable information shown from different sides.
So, more than anything, this quickly became a clash between the new government and the opposition, which had spent the previous years trying to entrench themselves in positions of power. Critics of the former PIS government claim that the party had systematically undermined the norms of democracy and the rule of law in Poland, and that the media had essentially become a propaganda machine of the former conservative government. Some people even said that TVP propaganda was worse than in the communist era of the 70s and 80s. In fact, Poland has dropped from the 18th to the 57th place in the World Press Freedom Index, which ranks the degree of media freedom around the world. So if anything, the new government sees the steps that it is taking as a necessary prerequisite to restore the role that public service media should have in a functioning democracy, which is to inform objectively about current affairs. The PIS, on the other hand, maintains that it has done nothing wrong and that strong conservative media are a necessary bulwark against liberalism. In any case, if you want to know more about how the PIS government is said to have weakened Polish democracy, be sure to check out one of my previous videos, linked above. The reason some people warn that Tusk may be about to introduce censorship in Poland are his relatively swift actions. Mind you, he was confirmed as Prime Minister by President Duda on December 13th. Less than a week later, on December 19th, the Polish Parliament passed a resolution demanding the restoration of legal order in public media. The very same day, the Ministry of Culture dismissed the presidents of TVP, the Polish radio, and the PAP press agency, together with its supervisory boards. For a limited time, some TV channels were even taken off the air. The minister claimed that he was entitled to do so given that the state has been exercising full ownership rights over public media. This, unsurprisingly, caused an outcry by the PIS and its supporters.
Gdański przejmuje media, czyli co? Wolne słowo. No i jest to zamach stanu.
President Duda, who has been closely linked to the previous PIS conservative government, called on the new government to respect the legal order, with Duda's chief of staff even calling Tusk a typical aggressor. As the row escalated, the president later vetoed a budget bill prepared by the new government. The bill was supposed to give around 3 billion Polish zlotys, or around 690 million euros, to the media. PIS supporters also staged sit-ins in the HQ of TVP, claiming that they must guard the media against the government personally. Still, the government of Tusk refuses to back down, arguing that the actions are aimed precisely at restoring and protecting the legal order, and that they will prevent censorship, not introduce it. Because the government lacks the power to overturn Duda's strong veto, however, the Ministry of Culture has instead moved to liquidate the Polish public media entirely. Simply put, it is a formal step that allows the state to appoint a liquidator, who will then formally manage the media and conduct the restructuring that the government says is necessary. Ultimately, the standoff between the government and the opposition continues. On January 9th, the courts refused to confirm the new government-appointed members of TVP's supervisory board, claiming that only the National Media Council is the lawful body entitled to make any changes to the media, not the government. The PIS, of course, considers this a win, and its appointee, Michał Adamczyk, still claims he is the only lawful TVP president. The government, on the other hand, says that the National Media Council is heavily politicized and has been created unconstitutionally by the PIS, which means that it has the full right to dismiss the management of TVP if it so pleases. There are even doubts as to whether the courts themselves are fully independent in Poland. As we've explained elsewhere, the PIS is said to have interfered in judicial appointments severely, which led the European Court of Human Rights to issue more than 70 complaints about the rule of law situation in the country. For now, the TVP building has been closed off by the police, and news programs are currently being prepared from a provisional studio. A brand new evening program called 1930 has been introduced by the government-appointed management. At the time of recording, it is not at all clear how the Polish media crisis will end. What we do know is that neither side is willing to give up easily, and both claim that their actions are necessary to prevent censorship. What do you think about the current situation in Poland? Be sure to drop a comment down below. And if you want to stay in the loop regarding developments in the heart of Europe, consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. By the way, if you have some more time to spare, feel free to continue watching some of my other videos so that you understand the turbulent political context of today's Poland and other countries in the region even a little bit better. This has been Jan with Prague Pulse. See you at the next video.